So Tauheed.
Yeah.
You are excited.
This is too much. I was like, so Tauheed, haha, I've got you.
How are you, Tauheed?
I'm good, Aleena. How are you?
I'm good. Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I know you,
Uh-huh.
right? But would you mind telling the audience who you are?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tauheed. I'm a research assistant here at the Precision Medicine Lab. I got my undergraduate in applied biosciences from NUST in 2022, and I've spent a couple of years working in tech, worked in a company working on an AI product, and I was always drawn towards biology, so now I'm here.
Oh, so it was like a choice.
Yeah.
A lot of people I've met in biotech, they came by chance. You came by choice. So-
Yeah. I was always interested towards this side of things.
You say you were from Islamabad, right? How did you come to know about Precision Medicine Lab, Peshawar, Pakistan?
Yeah. So Precision Medicine Lab की जो reputation है, it is actually very well known at least in the biosciences community in Pakistan. I actually had a couple of friends that had worked here or had interned here, and they had an excellent experience and they spoke very highly of the lab. So they recommended that I apply, and I did, and now I'm here.
So how has the experience been? How was it transitioning from Islamabad wala mahol to Peshawar wala mahol? Is that a thing? I don't know, so I'm trying to get to know that.
Peshawar is definitely different.
Achha.
And it's a very interesting city. The people are very
In
interesting.
a good way or in a bad way?
No, definitely in a good way. The
Okay.
people are very interesting. The people are, I think the best part of Peshawar is the people. Also, I'm interested in, heritage and history, and Peshawar is one of the oldest cities of Pakistan, probably one of the oldest cities of the world. So that part of Peshawar, is also really interesting.
What kind of research are you working on?
So my main project is based on network biology, and so essentially our bodies are run by little machines called proteins, and it makes a lot of sense to study, instead of looking at an individual protein, because nothing works alone, it's kind of like a factory. So it makes a lot of sense to study proteins and how they interact with each other. And one good way of doing that is to look at them as a network that's kind of interconnected. Each interaction is like a line between two dots, and the work I'm specifically doing, so protein interaction work has been done for the last decade, but the stuff that I'm doing is trying to find specifically a way of looking at protein interaction networks in a more kind of high resolution way. So it's more closer to what's happening in our bodies in nature. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Growing up, it was always the proteins are the building blocks, of the human body. So it's it feels like what you're studying is something the relation between those building blocks. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the Lego analogy really works here.
Yeah.
That it's different proteins, they join together to do something, they break apart to do something else, and studying that, we still don't understand. We don't have a very good understanding of what's happening. So using networks to kind of uncover new things about what's happening is a really exciting space right now.
So Tauheed, what is the most interesting, the most exciting thing about your research?
So I think one of the most interesting things is probably the fact that it hasn't been done before. I mean, it's new, and it makes you feel like you're probably maybe pushing the frontier of science, the frontier of human knowledge a little farther, because you're doing something new, you're finding a new way of looking at things. So I think that's kind of the exciting part. What might these this new way of looking at networks lead to in the future?
I feel like that is also the biggest, despite being the biggest excitement, it's also the biggest challenge,
Yeah.
right? Because when you're digging into something new, it's you don't know what you're getting into, right?
Yep.
There's a huge possibility that you might not even find something.
Yeah.
Or maybe in your case it's different.
you're right. One of the biggest challenge that I kind of have in my work is that none of this has been done before. And so it's both kind of, whenever you encounter a problem, I'm not going to find tutorials online on, how to get through that. So it's kind of up to me to break down the problem into little parts that I can then try to work on and solve. And like you said, with any new part of science, you don't really know if it's gonna lead anywhere directly. But I think in science, one of the most beautiful things is that, no result is also a result. So as long as, it tells you something about the way nature works, I think that's.
So you transitioned from Islamabad to Peshawar. How is it? Like, how is the experience so far? How is the Peshawari experience for you? Like, what is your favorite part of Peshawar? You went with us in the lab trip. So how was it?
I mean, the old city part of Peshawar is definitely, the heritage and kind of just the history and the stories that all of those places have. Literally Kissa Khwani Bazaar, the storytelling market I think that's one of my favorite parts of Peshawar, knowing, that I can kind of go there. And then another great thing I've noticed is Peshawar has really good food. So, Namak Mandi, Karkhano Market, the desi food game, Peshawar is like really good.
Peshawar is super desi. Normally, what I've seen happen is कि research में it's like a group task, it's collective, it's like research groups, right?
Yeah.
So is your work like your research is like with other people? How do you like collaborate with lab workers and all?
Yeah. So the project I'm working on specifically, it's my project, so I am working on it kind of individually. But since the lab is such an interdisciplinary place, I sit next to somebody who's a doctor, behind me sits a nurse, and then a table over, there's a data scientist. So I think it's such an interdisciplinary group that whenever I, in my research, have some kind of problem, if I need to look up specific cancer drugs, then I can just ask, hop one table over and ask a doctor. Or if I want to know something specific, my code isn't working, I can just go hop 2 tables over and ask.
Or if you need someone to design your posters.
If I need somebody to design, my research posters or something, I have design people. So I think it's just like this culture of everybody works together on everything, which I think is really what it's what separates Precision Medicine Lab from other places. Is just kind of like we are this ragtag team of people, and I think the diverse opinions we all bring really add value.
Tauheed, where do you see network biology in like the next 10 or maybe the next 100 years?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think in the next 10 years, there's definitely going to be more of a shift towards a systems approach, especially with AI and things like that. Hopefully AI is going to make it easier for us to look at biological systems as a whole, as opposed to kind of individual units.
We're gonna have clones.
Yeah, or maybe stuff like that is probably on the horizon. But and in the next 100 years, I guess, who knows, but I also think maybe there's probably going to be a much more broader paradigm shift towards kind of like a one singular approach to biology, where instead of looking at individual little things, human health, animal health, infectious disease, cancer, aging, all of that is kind of combined into this one big system of understanding life. And I think that's kind of where we're headed, where we might be headed, in my opinion. Yeah.
The world is a global village.
Yeah, globalization, we're all coming together, and I think that's kind of science, after expanding, is kind of like closing in on this one interconnected
supernova of existence.
So I think if you look at the past 10 years, people have, the scientific community has at least, they're really shifted their attention towards kind of a systems approach of things, right? Instead of looking at, one cancer cell, one person, one thing, they're looking at things kind of like an interconnected system, which is the way nature designed things. We're all in an ecosystem. And we see that stuff with like systems biology, One Health, things like that, where instead of looking at individual units, we look at how things kind of come together and what links things together.
deal.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like your listeners to know about network biology, about precision medicine lab, about Tauheed?
Yeah, no, I think it's been a great discussion. I think I might just have a closing note for anybody who's interested in network biology and wants to get in. And I think that the answer to that is you just kind of dive in at this point, with the internet and with especially
Just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Especially with tools like ChatGPT and stuff. Getting a basic understanding of something has become a lot easier. So I think you just start from there, build up an understanding if you want, and reach out to the lab if you ever need help with anything.
It was really nice talking to you, Tauheed, learning about network biology, the interconnectedness of proteins, about the lab culture, about your experience. It was amazing.
Yeah, this was a great discussion. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aleena.
Thank you. I'll be seeing you again.